Okay, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in here. Welcome to Office Hours. I've got a couple of fun things that we're going to do today. One of which is absolutely ridiculous. The other one is marginally useful. So it's gonna be a super fun hour. And I've got some questions here that were submitted earlier, and we're gonna go through those, and so we're gonna go through those here. I'll try to spread them out as we're waiting for Claude to kind of do various things. In my newsletter last week, I did say that what we would do in this session was an Opus 4.8 versus Fable app build. So last week, Anthropic released a brand new model called Fable 5. Fable is a smaller, restricted version of the model that Anthropic calls Mythos, which is the one that came out a couple of months ago now. And Mythos, the big thing that Mythos did is it was so much better at writing code that it was really good at finding security vulnerabilities too. And so Mythos got released as kind of a limited edition, limited release to Microsoft and Google and some other folks, people that run open source tools and things like that, but really important core software things for the internet. The example that I kind of went back to a bunch was Firefox, because Fable found I guess back up. When Opus 4.7, I think, came out, it found like one or maybe two previous unknown vulnerabilities in Firefox. And they were patched, and that was great. It's really useful. And that felt kind of revolutionary. Mythos found like 100, and that felt scary because here's literally 100 or maybe multiple hundreds. I don't remember the number anymore. Literally hundreds of vulnerabilities in Firefox, and they all got fixed. There was like this whole mad rush over the period of a month to fix them, and you can actually see all of the commits and the history and all of the things in their source code repository. So super interesting stuff from Mythos, but it was deemed too dangerous to just let anybody have, because as it's like one of those great power, great responsibility things, because if you can fix software by finding vulnerabilities in them, you can also break software by finding vulnerabilities in them. So Mythos didn't get released to very many people, and I never saw it. I'm not that cool. But last week, Anthropic released Fable, which is I don't know if the right description of it is smaller or watered down. It's slightly less capable, had a lot of safeguards on it to prevent it from doing bad things, and would even like silently revert to Opus if it was detected that it was doing something too questionable. And so we had that for like a couple of days, and I had just started to use it, and some really interesting things that I started to see, but I wasn't yet confident enough to make consistent claims. One is it seemed to handle large code bases much easier. It seemed to really do a better job. And I wouldn't say it's an exponential step. It was significantly better, though. And the second thing that happened is I, for fun, am building a little RC boat. I'm going on a long weekend trip soon to the coast, and I was like, I should build a boat. And then I was like, I don't know how to build a boat. So then I was like, maybe I should build an RC boat. And then I was like, well, I don't know how to build an RC boat either. You see how these things start, right? So I didn't build so I didn't know how to build an RC boat. So I started talking to Claude and Opus about it, Jaws, and we started kind of like, how do you build a boat? What does it look like? What does that structure look like? And calculating displacement and all of these things that like I've heard of, but I don't really know how it works. And so I started working on that and getting into CAD and designing my boat to put on my 3D printer and stuff. And partway through that, Fable came out, and Fable actually was able to use CAD to create some 3D printable things. Now, I didn't end up using the things that Fable made because they weren't quite right once I got further down the design process, and Fable was gone, and I didn't have access to it anymore. So, long story to say, what I was going to do is compare Fable and Opus today by doing one build with two different AIs and see what the experience is between the difference. Fable's also much more expensive, but I wanted to see what the differences felt like. Okay. Maybe we'll do that next time. No, we won't do that next time. Probably we won't do that next time. I'll talk about next time later, though. Okay. So that's my side story about Fable. One thing I do want to do here, I'm going to kick off a Claude Code instance. I'll show it to you in a minute, but I realize that I have something else on my screen that I want to be a secret, so just bear with me 1 second. We're going to play a little game called AI or Not, and I have a Word doc with a bunch of pictures in it because my Dymaptic played this at a company social. That's kind of annoying. Sorry, hold on 1 minute. I need to close my garage door now because somebody's drilling outside, and probably you guys can hear that. Okay. So we'll close that. All right. Now, Dymaptic at a company social last week or the week before did a game called AI or Not, where they looked at pictures and they had to guess about whether or not they were AI or not AI. And I did not get to go to that social. I was off in another meeting. So we're going to play our own version of that today. I got the pictures from it, and I'm going to have Claude Code here build us a mini web app where I can pull it up, look at the pictures, and guess and get the answers for each one. Because, yeah, that's what I do now, is I just ask Claude to do things. Okay, so Claude's going to go chew on that for a minute. Now, while that's happening, I have a question that I want to address. Jacob from Oregon State University said, can JAWS drive an FPV, first-person point of view, or whatever that stands for, RC car, and could they investigate a sound in the night outside, and could it make a map? Or would a map help, I should say? The answer is kind of. And so with that, I will reveal the project that, well, we've talked about it before, but it actually kind of works now. So what you're looking at now is JAWS's body, and it's a little quadruped robot. It's just Wi-Fi controlled from JAWS. So JAWS is still on my little Mac Mini sitting on my desk here, and can control that robot over Wi-Fi. And I had JAWS go ahead and build a little remote control so we can see the camera facing forward that it can see there. And the camera is a little sketch. I'm not going to lie. It's a little sketch. JAWS and I have some work to do here on this. But if I come here and I click look to the right, you can see the camera moved in the little picture, and there's the door into my workshop garage, mad science laboratory here. And so that's all actually kind of working, which is kind of neat. And of course, then I can also turn the robot manually. I can control it. Now, JAWS was working on this up until the last minute here. So I am very nervously going to hard refresh this screen, and I am going to ask JAWS to see if it can walk this direction. Can you turn roughly 90 degrees right and walk towards me? Try to get me in the camera frame. I don't know if this is going to work. I have my suspicions, but we're going to try. Okay. Whoa. Right out of the gate, we're doing something. We've maybe turned a little bit too far. I'm in that general direction. We'll see if the camera refreshes here. Camera did not refresh. She's just going for it. It's not, I feel like there's a screw loose. It's making some kind of loud clanking noise periodically. That makes me nervous. Let's see here. What are we doing, Jaws? What are we doing? Okay, I don't know what's happening. It's not answering. Not sure. Oh, okay. Kind of, almost. You can see the very back of my chair. There's my hand. I don't know. It might be like, there might be like screen inception here. It's a little bit small. But that's like the very back of my chair here. You can see my 3D printer box, which they labeled for me. Do not throw this box away. It's very important. And I'm now struggling to throw the box away, even though I've had the printer for months. Okay, so maybe let's see, go forward a bit and turn just a little left. Let's see. We're going for it. So I have done some experiments trying to get Jaws to explore on its own, and what it ends up doing is things like, I've walked 100 meters across the workshop, Christopher. I've explored the whole thing. And then I go look, and it's taken like 5 steps. There's my feet. There's my feet. That's not bad. Let's see. Can we? Can you go forward just a bit more and then look up? We'll see if it can do that. It can look up. I don't know if it will. It can look up. That is walking straight towards me more almost. Oh yeah. No, it looked down. It looked down. It looked at the floor. Oh, okay. No, you looked down. No. That right there is pretty much summarizes perfectly my entire experience building a robot with an AI. Yeah. Okay. No, look up. That is looking straight and level. It can look up. I swear it can. Come on, Jaws. You can do it. No. Up. Look up now. It's going to look down again. Yeah, totally look down again. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, it went down. I want you to look up, please. I don't think it's going to work. Okay. Yeah, no, it didn't work. Now it's not even, okay. I'm going to hit center. There we go. At least that's like leveled. I don't know. I wish it had a button to look up. But anyway, that is me. You can see my feet. That was fun. Okay. So, oh, what if I tell it to look down? That's a good question. Okay. Oh, look down now. This is nailed it. Good job, Agnes. How would it know what up and down is? Yeah, so that's a really good question. So the way that it should know, do the hokey pokey. Oh, that's a good idea. Can you do a little? Actually, can you do the hokey pokey now? So the way it has servos and it knows which way is like plus and minus. And what it did is let's see if I think it's trying to dance now. In theory, it should be able to do things like go up and down, I don't think it's going to. It it's very hard for me to not. I just kind of want to watch it. It's very hard for me to talk while it's spinning in a circle. Okay, that was pretty good. So the way that I build it, the process that I use to build this is so the body is mostly from a YouTuber named James Bruton. He builds robots. He's been doing it for many, many years. And he started releasing some 3D models recently, and so I just printed that out. I made a few changes here and there to kind of alter it to do what I wanted and stuff, but a lot of it was directly his model. And then I made an add-on to hold the camera on the front and wired it all up to my own microcontrollers that I had sitting around here. And once I had it all wired, and I did show that version of the body on a live stream a month or two ago. And what I did after that, I'm going to try to stop looking at it. Sorry. What I did after that was I brought it up on the desk and I took pictures. I plugged a USB webcam into Jaws's computer and I took pictures of it. And then it would say, okay, I want to lift the front right leg, and it would lift it, and it would take a picture again and verify that it was the right leg. What I ended up having to do for it was set the servo stops. It really struggled with how high can I lift the leg and where's the bottom of the leg. Once I set those, though, it was able to write the rest of the code, program the microcontroller itself, and then communicate with it all over Wi-Fi. So it has its own like REST API to control it. And that's what these buttons are that it's given me on the screen here, but also that's the way Jaws is controlling it. It's a Claude code basically with an MCP server that is talking to over a REST endpoint to that Wi-Fi microcontroller, which is like an ESP32 of some variety. Yeah, I guess part of the Hokey Pokey is turning yourself around. Good point. So she spun around, shook her head left and right, and is now facing forward. That's the Hokey Pokey, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, that is pretty cute. Okay, good job, Jaws. All right, so that was the first thing that I wanted to show you was Jaws's body. This is version 0. There are several things that I want to do here. So I want to build a bigger body, something that could actually go outside. Works for walking around the workshop and stuff, but is not great for bigger exploring. And so a bigger body with better walking legs. I've been watching some videos about a device called a capstan drive, which looks super fun to try to build, super hard, but whatever. I mean, see previous note about trying to build a boat. So I'm just whatever. So I'm going to try to build a bigger body for it, still on legs, because ever since I was a kid, I wanted a robot dog. Like I've wanted a robot dog forever. So I'm just on this journey of trying to build myself a robot dog now. Yes, I could buy one for like $20K from Unitree, but I'm going to build it, whatever. So I want to do that. I'm going to probably pull in a bigger computer, maybe like a Jetson, which has the capability, it's bigger than a Raspberry Pi, has the capability to run local models, and it's actually designed for running robotics models. So we'll bring that in probably so that Jaws, the like master brain, can still communicate with it over wireless, but it has the ability to run local models and control itself locally and act autonomously. And then back to Jacob's question, my plan is to add a LiDAR sensor to it. I have a small LiDAR sensor that can map like a room about the size of my garage here. But it should also work outside for finding things in front of it. So between a camera, which I haven't decided about cameras yet. There are some really cool like webcams. Like if anybody remembers the Microsoft Kinect, it was this device that had a special 3D camera in it. It could track you so you could play dance games and stuff. that camera, there are cameras like that now that you can buy. They're just like USB cameras. So something like that and a LiDAR sensor and a GPS receiver probably enables it to do quite a bit of stuff. So I'm still thinking through what that's going to look like. I think that's going to be version 2 or version 1 if this is version 0. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep playing with this and letting JAWS, trying to learn how JAWS thinks about exploring and what it means to try to get an AI to explore. Because what's interesting is like it doesn't want to explore. Like when I give it free reign to just use the dog and walk around and take pictures, it's like, whoa, but what do you want me to take pictures of? Like it wants me to give it input, which I get it. That's like the safety. It's trained to do that. But I want to try to push it towards doing things autonomously. This stream is a prequel to a Black Mirror episode. Yeah. Yeah, probably right after this stream it cuts and then you see a 3D printed red and green Christmas themed robot dog walking down your street. Yeah. Okay, that was fun. We might come back to that, but let's switch back to our AI or not here. I think I want this screen. Yeah. So over here on the left, I have the Claude code that I sent off to start on, is this AI or not? It's a set of questions. Some of them are A, B, C, D, like pick which one is AI, which one isn't. Some of them are yes or no, different things. And I asked it, as is my normal thing. I said, don't make it too complicated. Make a plan, that's what we ask, and ask any clarifying questions. So we're in plan. So let's see here. So packaging. How do you want it packaged so it's easiest for you to run or share? Folder and images seems fine. Do you want scoring at the end? Yeah, I kind of want to know how many I got right or wrong. That sounds good. Order. What order? Fixed document order? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we're gonna let that cook for a minute and see where that goes. What this is starting from is a Word document that Andy, who put together this original social activity for the company, he exported it out of all of the Kahoot or whatever it is that they use to do it in the meeting. He exported it out of that and gave me a Word doc so that it has each image and it has the right answer described underneath it. So I just dropped that Word document into the Claude code folder here. And I said, hey, you have this Word document, it has these images, there's different types in it. Some of them are yes or no, some of them are this or that or whatever. And said, go to town, go build this. And then it came back and asked their questions and we'll see what it does here. Looks like it's writing some Python at the moment. So that's, probably it writing Python to do things. That's often a technique that the AI that Claude will use is it will write Python to take an action with instead of taking the action directly, which is kind of fascinating to me, but also is it makes a lot of sense. Like as a software developer, there's a lot of times that I would write code to do a thing when there was another way to do it if I had a snippet of code that was readily available, especially if I had a snippet of code. All right, so let's say, while this is running, I'm just going to say, let's explore more to your left. What is over there? Oops. Whoa. Sorry, you can't see that right now. Claude started a web browser while I was mid-typing to test that. I'll show that in a second here. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. All right, looks like it is kind of working. So and JAWS is walking around in the dog on the, it's kind of loud. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. I'm going to switch the screen share here so that we are looking at the other Google Chrome window. There we go. That's fun. So here's our, here is Claude. Claude is currently playing the game. I'll scoot that over so you can see it a little bit more. But so you can see Claude is currently controlling the browser. You can see it's got this kind of orange glow around it, and then we've got this orange-white cursor down here. So this is that's Claude's cursor. So Claude Code is driving the browser right now, and is actually trying to take the quiz itself, which is kind of amusing that the AI is trying to play AI or not. Maybe we should actually just have Claude play AI or not. Actually, that might be kind of fun. We should just do that. Okay. Actually, before we do that, I'll play a couple so we can get a feel for it, make sure the app is working, and then we're gonna have Claude go and play this. This will be fun. This will be fun. Okay, I'm just gonna refresh. Well, that's disappointing. Oh, sorry. I'm typing. I should be talking so that you all can hear me. Okay. I tried refreshing it in the browser to play the game myself, and it says the page cannot be reached. Can you restart it so I can try playing? You are my test URL, which I shut down, and that's why it's unreachable. Great. All right, here we go. So that's running again. Okay. Is this AI? Holy smokes. Okay. Let's see here. Are the fingers right? By the way, you all can try to save me in the comments. I'm playing this, but you know, if you feel like you want to help me, you feel free to jump in. We got a true coming in. I don't know, everybody thinks this is AI. I think it might not be. Like the fingers are like, I don't know. I'm like, this pinky looks super weird, but also I can totally see like a weird pinky thing. The shadow on the coffee cup. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, I'll go with true. Okay, is it true? True. No! It's not AI? What? Okay, I feel like we need to go to the source document. One moment while I pull up the source document. Well, actually, Agnes and Holly, you guys are in the chat somewhere, I think. Is that right? Do you remember? It is false? Man, okay. Well, okay, guys, it's a real photo. Okay, we gotta step up our game here. We're going with the next one. Okay, is this AI? Could I hold a coffee cup like that? I could hold a coffee cup like that. I wouldn't. Okay, so we got one true, we got one false. My apologies to whoever on the staff has rubbery fingers. I don't think that picture was of our staff. I could be wrong, but I will pass that along. This one looks like Uncanny Valley to me. There's something about the way the hand, like the perspective on the hand and the cup is like off. I think this is AI. I think there's something wrong here. And now we're okay. Well, if I count mine, now we're tied. So we got two trues, two falses. Does anyone want to break our tie, or I'm just gonna say I think it's AI. I'll take a sip of my own coffee, holding it in a very awkward remote position. There we go. See, I can hold a coffee cup but I don't. Who holds a coffee cup like that? I always hold it like this. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So I'm gonna go with. Yes, it was AI. Okay, we won one. All right. Which is the real Portland transit map? Do we have any people from Portland on that can help? TriMet is the thing. I feel like what's funny is the recap from this social is everybody's like, oh, I have to zoom in to be able to tell what's going on. And I'm definitely sitting here thinking, oh, I kind of want to zoom in on this. TriMet is, it's not Portland Metro though. Like that's a weird title. Also, I think it might be this one on the right. Any other Portlanders in the chat? Nobody. Let's see if I can open. I can't. How do I zoom in? I can't. Okay, I don't know how to pan over to look at that image. But they're so blurry. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna go with my gut. My gut is that the right one is real. Yes! Awesome. Okay. Is this AI? I don't think I know enough. I don't think I've seen enough pictures of pigeons to know. Okay, is there something in the background that would make this AI? Let's see. These words look kind of sketchy over here. The big words look good, but like this looks sketch to me over on the right. I think there's at least one true in the chat. I'm gonna go with true. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was fun. Okay. So okay. I want you to reset the page and maybe spawn a separate worker who doesn't know the answers and play the game all the way through yourself. And I want to see what your score is. How do you do at judging which of these photos are AI and which are not? Okay. So this will be fun to see. I don't know what's going to happen here with Claude trying to play AI or not. Okay, but maybe you all can help me a little bit because I am thinking about, and this is what the genesis of this idea was today, is actually to start on this. So we'll see here. But I'm thinking about doing a GIS themed AI or not at the user conference in our booth. If there was a short version of this that was maybe like 3 to 5 questions that you could play, would you come to the booth at the user conference and play AI or not? Yeah. So let me know thoughts in the chat because I really want to know if people would enjoy that. I think it would be kind of a fun game because then we could have like a leaderboard. You could come back and play a few more the next day. You could even I could make an optional input at the end where you can describe or upload your own photo to get thrown into the mix. Because I think part of the fun part of this is like having your own photos also mixed in here. So I think that's kind of the one of the fun parts about this. So, okay. So let's see. Claude is about to play. Page is reset. Spawning a blind worker to play through all 32. Okay. So, come on, Claude. I think it's just reading the images in the back. It's just reading the images in the background, which I guess is maybe fine. It's not playing it in the web app. My guess is what's going to happen is the background agent can't control the browser. So what's going to happen is the background agent is playing the game and is going to tell the foreground agent what the answers are, and then it plays through. That's my guess. And then, so we'll see if it does that. It just finished reading all 32. Oh no, they're in some weird order. So it's still reading them. That's fine. We'll let it keep going for a second here. Let's check on JAWS. Where's JAWS up to? JAWS only took a few steps. So JAWS's message to us, I'm not going to change the screen share right now. I'll just read it to you. JAWS's message when I said, let's explore more to your left. What's over there? JAWS replies, I turned about 90 degrees to the left and aimed the head over that way. Looks like there's a big cardboard box up close, a bicycle in the background, and what appears to be some storage bins and lumber off to the sides. Typical workshop chaos, honestly. Ouch. Okay. Let's look at where it made it to. Did not make it very far. It is true that there is here, I'll move the camera so you can see that direction. There is a cardboard box over there. That cardboard box was from the spray painting of said boat that was previously mentioned, which JAWS can't see. You all can. It's up there on the, there you go. So you can see there's the boat body up there. That's the hull of the boat that I 3D printed, and then I've been spraying with Plastidip so that it's waterproof better. Yeah, the workshop is a mess. It is a constant state of chaos. That's the way a workshop should be. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. No, let's see. Claude thinks that it finished. It didn't actually play it in the browser, which I feel slightly disappointed about. But, whoops. But let's see what happened here. Scoot this over so we can read Claude, Claude's output here. Okay, so 13 out of 32. 41%. I think, if I recall, that the statistic from the humans at Dymaptic was closer to like 60%. It was like 21 out of 30 was like the average score. So it did not do as well as we did, as the humans did. So I like this class. It's a gullible optimist upside down emoji. That's kind of ridiculous. Looking at the true false round, of those 19, 10 were actually AI and 9 were real photos. The worker answered false, not AI, on all but one image. So real images, 8 of 9 correct. It trusts genuine photos, and AI images, 0 of 10 correct. It failed to flag a single AI generated image as AI. So it just doesn't know, is the short answer. In other words, it didn't score 8 out of 19 by being half right across the board. It called almost everything real and only scored. Okay, so it got there by luck, basically. The quiz round was roughly a coin flip. On the side-by-side, which is real comparisons, it got Atlas, the 4-panel, which is number 21, Palm Springs, Eiffel Tower, but missed the Portland map, rodeo, Yosemite, and painting, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it was also wrong about number 1, like we were. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. So I think I want to have a little bit of fun with this. Nobody's telling me whether or not they would play this at the UC, but I'm just going to assume that you would. And we're gonna spend a few minutes getting Claude going here to work on a fancier version of this, and then we'll take a look at some of the other questions that I've got from the registration. Okay, so what I want to do here is So I want to build a fancier version of this now. What I'd like is when I visit the page, I want to have to register with my name and my email address. And then you show me a random sampling of the images, maybe 5 images. And I answer those. You record my score in just a JSON file for now. Let's keep it simple. And then there's a leaderboard where I can see my score versus other people's scores. And I could come back the next day and play again to increase my score. So I want to have like a daily score situation and a full score, like a total score. Oh, but I do want to, I forgot. Each day, each person competing each day should see the same images, I think. So to make it fair. Or if you play it, no, I think let's just go with that. Keep it simple. So you see the same images every day. So we're just going to divide it up into like 5 pictures per day. We're actually going to change the pictures later because I want it to be GIS themed, but we'll go with just 5 pictures per day. Let's make a plan for this. So make a plan and ask me questions because I think I've been rambling here and I'm not very clear about what I want. So think about this, make a plan. This is something I want people to be able to play in a booth at a conference. Sure. I don't know. I'm going to have to, I can already tell that this isn't going to be what I want. I'm going to start over. But that's one of the superpowers of using AI to do prototypes like this is I can throw it away and not feel bad about it. Yeah. All right, so let's look at some questions that were submitted, other than, of course, our can JAWS control an RC car? Kind of. Quadruped-ish. Okay, let's see here. So to start with a simple one. What are some important skills to learn when deploying AI solutions? So I think the number one thing that people forget or ignore when deploying solutions is guardrails or safety. And I think there's several ways to think about this. So the first way is, what are like the consequences of the thing that you're deploying going wrong? So if I'm deploying a chatbot that can answer questions about, I don't know, your organization's policies or something like that, what are the consequences of that being wrong? Well, the consequence is that someone says, oh, I want to take some vacation, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, great. You don't have to notify anybody of your vacation. You just don't show up to work. No problem. And then they just don't show up to work. And then you're like, wait, where's my staff? They're on vacation. They finally answer you. They were like, oh, well, the AI bot said I could just not show up and take my vacation. And so like, would that happen? Probably not, but it could happen. And it's thinking about that consequence when you're deploying an AI solution that's really important. So like if you're deploying an AI to judge the status, like you're taking pictures of road signs or whatever, and you're like, does this need repair? And you're using an AI to judge that if it says this one needs repair, but it really doesn't, that's like, at worst, you sent somebody out there to look at it again. So like the consequence of that isn't that bad. But if it misqualifies it the other way, it's like, oh, this does not need repair, but it definitely does. Like you could end up with people that are upset or taking the wrong exit, or you cause traffic problems. So, I mean, those aren't probably very good examples, but because I'm just kind of making them up. But I think the point is that you got to think about the consequence of what it is that you're deploying. And if the AI is wrong, what's the consequence of that, of it being wrong? That I think is the number one thing people don't think about. And that connects to guardrails, because if you're building an AI chatbot, an AI solution, you want to build guardrails such that that AI bot answers the questions it's supposed to answer correctly and doesn't do other things. So like the Chipotle bot that was in the news months ago about how it will write Python for you without much effort. There's even now like an open source project. I think it's a joke, but somebody did spend some time on the joke. An open source project that connects the Chipotle AI to like a Claude code session or some nonsense so that you can use their tokens instead of yours to write code. So like it's really ridiculous. But you don't want, if you're deploying an AI, you don't want it to do those things. Like if for no other reason, you don't want to pay for that. I think that's the number one thing is guardrails and consequences. We don't think about those as much when we're deploying traditional software. Like we don't think about guardrails because there's no AI, it's deterministic, right? And consequences we tend not to worry about much because there's always a human doing the work at the end of the day. Humans responsible for it. So I think those are the things that start to shift when we're deploying AI solutions. The Whisper Frame has a really great. There's my boat. That's if I build a big boat, that's not what it's going to look like. That's also not what my workshop looks like, except it does have there are a lot of Amazon boxes. Okay, so Claude has got some questions for me over here. How will people actually play it at the booth? Shared kiosk or on their phones via QR code? I think it's going to be on their phones, although I haven't fully decided. So we're going to opt for phones right now. If someone finishes today's 5 and tries to play again on the same day, what should happen? Locked until tomorrow. Yep. What should the leaderboard show? Today and all time? Yes. How should each day's set of 5 be chosen from the pool? Auto rotate by calendar date. Server picks 5 deterministically from the date. Same 5 for everyone today. Fresh 5 tomorrow. Cycling through the 32, 6, 7 days. Yeah, something like that is fine. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll let that go. We got 13 minutes. It might finish a prototype of that before we're done today. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it does. Let's see if the Whisper Frame's doing anything new. No, Whisper Frame's still doing that. Okay, so let's do another question here. What else we got? We talked about JAWS. Okay, so AI has made software development much faster, easier, and better, but concerns about privacy, ethical responsibility, and legal issues arise and may hinder its progress. Sounds like AI can be used to monitor AI, but will it work? AI against AI against AI. Will there be a time that AI is out of control? I'll start with the end. Will there be a time that AI is out of control? Maybe. One thing that's kind of interesting, and this actually, now that I read this question, I realize that I totally told you that whole story at the beginning about Fable and everything, but I didn't tell you what happened to Fable. It went away. Anthropic had to shut down access to it. Why did it go away? It went away because the federal government in the United States said, we don't want non-U.S. nationals, I think is what they said, to be able to access it because of security reasons. And we found this one issue. And the issue was that you could point Fable at a code base and be like, find me a vulnerability in this code base, and it would do that. And it's like, yeah, okay, that is a jailbreak in some sense, but it's also what it's designed for in some sense. So the example that the government gave was pretty weak sauce. And Anthropic was like, yeah, we know about this, but we don't think it's that big of a problem. And the government was like, oh, we think it's a problem. Okay, first I should say, I'm kind of filling in the gaps. I'm editorializing here because I don't actually know what these conversations are. We don't know. They're all behind closed doors. They're just some like random news reports and other people speculating. So I am filling in some gaps here. It's not just true. Maybe we will learn the true story eventually. But I think that the reason the government shut it down is that the rumor I read was that there was an entity in China that had access to Fable, and the government doesn't want foreign countries to have access to the same AI tech that we have access to. And so they want to do something about that. So the question is, what will the government do about this? And I don't know what's going to happen. I do think we will get Fable back. It's not the end. It might take a few weeks to a month, but I do think we will get it back. It is trending towards positive. I just don't know what's going to happen yet. So we're already starting to see some models that are so capable at doing things that we're afraid as a government or as a society or as a company like Anthropic to release it without controls to the world. So is there a point at which AI could get out of control? Yeah. Although we're not there yet. And I think the Jaws robot dog is a good example of that. It can't explore. It can hardly take a few steps to look around the workshop very much, right? It took like 10 steps looking around the workshop when I told it to explore to the left. So yes, it could be, but we're not to the point where the model can just go on its own and do stuff like that. But there are privacy, ethical, responsibility, legal issues that are starting to form around these models. And I think Anthropic actually does this in a pretty great way. So they don't store, when I use Claude Code under my Teams account, this also applies under a commercial account, like the one that you can just go buy yourself. That's not a Teams account. They are different terms of service, but you can turn off the training in that one. And then they don't use your data for training. And like at dymaptic, we have that everything is turned off / it's not available in a Teams account. They just don't use our data for training. And so I think that they do a good job of that. They draw that line quite clearly. And the only reason they keep it is to look for abuse, look for people that are trying to circumvent the model, and especially for Fable and other very sophisticated models. They might keep the information you send it for 30 days in order to review it. And then they might keep it longer if they find that it was a jailbreak or a false positive of a jailbreak so that they can study it and test against it. They're not using it for training. They're using it for testing and verification of positives and false positives. So I think that they're doing it well. I would probably do it differently if I was in their position, but I don't know that I would be any better. So I think they're doing fine. But the question is do you trust them to do what they say? And I think at the moment, yes, I do trust Anthropic. I don't trust OpenAI at the moment, but we'll see how that evolves over time also, because these things can change. And I also would not, I try really hard to always say that I'm using AI when I'm using it. I also don't use AI to replace me. I use it to augment me. So whenever I do a task, I was filling out a vendor questionnaire yesterday for an RFP for dymaptic, and I was using Claude to help me through it because there were a lot of questions, but I still read each question and each answer and tweaked them. And so it helped me through it. Like I was able to do it faster with Claude, but, and it caught things for me like that I wouldn't have caught or thought about. And so it was very helpful to get me through the process more quickly, but I was still there, very present, answering questions, deciding what the answers were on behalf of dymaptic. I mean, that's my job as the executive, right? Deciding what the answers were and making those decisions. Like that's me, that's on me as the human, is my responsibility. The AI is just there to assist me and to make the data gathering and process easier. And Claude is doing a thing here. So I think that is, so yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that. I got distracted by Claude. I think that there are concerns, there are things happening, but I think in general it's good. And I think, but you have to be responsible with it. You have to be using it in a way that is responsible. And I think that that's actually really important, if not the most important thing is using it that way. Okay, last question. While we observe Claude doing things in the background here. I think GPS accuracy and response times are sometimes big issues when you need them most, such as at a new place or busy traffic. I wonder if there's a way to be able to tell the driver early which lane they should go to before an exit on a highway. Also, can AI be used to make routing smarter? For example, if I've picked a route before, can it remember that route? Are new roads on the map, can they be there? Can they be automatically added? Sensors being helpful, but AI can add power like self-driving software. So yes. So I will say I am very pro self-driving. I think that these cars are going to be, if not are already, better drivers than us on average. Waymo's definitely so. The data proves that Waymos are safer than human drivers. Teslas are maybe safer. My friend Danny writes a blog about this, called AGI Fridays. I've referenced him in my newsletter before, but he talks a lot about self-driving cars, and he's been looking at this data quite a bit. And I think we're seeing Teslas trend toward being safer, although they still do dumb things. So do humans. It's like the example of Waymo's driving through water. Humans also drive through flooded streets. So, whoopsies, I guess, in both cases. So I think, yes, the answer is AI can make a big difference in some of these processes. So there are like already built-in routing processes for doing things like routing around traffic or slow streets and things like that. If you use Google Maps, it'll totally pop up and be like, hey, I've rerouted you to save you 2 minutes on your 4-hour drive. Do you want to press here to cancel that change or whatever? One thing that I really wish routing things would do is they would remember the routes that I want to take. For example, I have a friend who was driving recently, and there's some construction that we all know about here in Portland, and the self-driving Tesla tried to take them through the construction, and it can't. It has to go around, and it because the street was closed, the lane of traffic that was necessary was closed. The traffic could go the other way, but not the way that it needed, and it didn't know that, and so it went there and then had to turn right instead of left, and then as it's going down the street, it gets farther and farther away. And eventually the routing engine was like, oh, we're too far away from our original route. We better go back. And like, so the Tesla wanted to like loop back around and go back to the original thing and try to go left again. So like it didn't learn. And there's like this weird overlap between the routing engine and the self-driving. The self-driving car has to do what we do as a human in the driver's seat, like navigating the lanes and the traffic and things like that. But the navigation actually depends on our normal navigation tools today. So it depends on Google Maps and things like that to do that routing. And so that routing has to get better. It has to know these things about like closed traffic and be better at reacting to that. And I would really love it if it would remember the routes that I want to take, because I definitely have routes that I prefer to take. And I wish that my routing tools would remember that. And I think it doesn't even need AI for that. It could just remember that. It could just do that using regular software, I think. But AI could help them write the software to do it, because it otherwise might not be a feature that they would build. So anyway, enough about that. We're coming up on time, so I just want to quickly go back and look at our AI or not here. Let me scoot this over so you can see the screen a little better. It looks like it worked. We saw it play. I don't know how do I play it without scanning the QR code? Well, okay. I guess we're at the end of the hour, so I guess I'm not going to try to do it right now. But I did see it in the background in the corner of my eye, being distracted while trying to answer questions. I did see it play through this itself, so it is kind of working. I'd say one of you can try scanning this QR code, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to go to localhost. Yeah, because I'm not hooked up to JAWS. Sometimes JAWS will auto deploy things on a little sandbox I gave it, but this is just Claude code, so it can't do that. So you won't be able to play it. You can try to play it. Yeah, okay. If you want to play AI or not, come to the user conference, and next month's live stream is actually during the user conference. So I am going to attempt to do office hours in our booth on Thursday. So if you're at the Esri user conference, come by, say hello, ask me a question in person, and we'll stream that. If you're not there, tune in anyway, and I will do my best to actually live stream from the booth and give an update about what's going on in Esri land from the user conference, as well as maybe play some AI or not, and maybe build an app. Jaws the Robot Dog will not be with me, but we'll see. There might be other fun things happening at the UC in our booth. So please come by, say hello, and I will see you all next month. Thanks for coming along, playing my reindeer games, jumping in the chat, and playing along. So thank you all for coming, and I will see you in a month.